A biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
Let's talk church worship music teams. Whether your church music is traditional or a full band on stage, there are some things that are always important for church praise and worship. Lots of churches these days have amazing sound systems with state-of-the-art lighting and special effects. But is music and lighting the whole story when talking about what God might require of worshippers? Well, Grant Norsworthy wants to make worship something that he takes beyond just the music. He calls himself a more than music mentor. A Grammy-nominated, Dove Award-winning recording artist, Grant Norsworthy, is doing a tour in Australia and he's leading sessions in Queensland in the coming weeks. Grant, a special welcome back to 2020.
Wow, thanks for having me, Neil. Good to be talking to you.
Grant, these days you're based in New Zealand, aren't you? And so here you are here in Australia doing this short tour, and it really is a short tour, so when there's opportunity to sit in on one of your sessions, that's pretty important, I think.
Well, yeah, I live in a little place called Upper Moutere, which is on top of the South Island of New Zealand. I married a Kiwi, and you don't know this, even as a Melbourne boy like me. You don't realise if you fall in love with a married Kiwi girl, you're going to live in New Zealand eventually. But, yeah, I love coming to Australia to share More Than Music Mentor. Did a trip to Melbourne and Victoria earlier this year. Just went to ACT Canberra last month, and now currently in Queensland doing More Than Music Mentor training sessions.
For listeners, they might not be so familiar with your music career, but you had stints with PC3, the Paul Coleman Trio, and also Sonic Flood. I mean, when we're talking worship here, when you talk about your own story and understanding something of a truer, authentic heart of worship, was it your experience with PC3 or with Sonic Flood that really helped things to settle in that?
Well, all of that, yeah. I had amazing times with the Paul Coleman Trio, or PC3 for short, and Sonic Flood, but also been involved in music in many different ways, different shapes, different forms, and always involved in the church. And I guess I've lived in 3 different countries as well. You know, born in Australia, lived there for a lot of my life, 17 years in America when the trio relocated there back in 2002, now living in New Zealand. And it seems to me that when people of Christian faith gather together, and that's often on a Sunday morning, there's always music involved. But some churches use music differently from others, you know, and that's okay. But, yeah, I guess what I saw with the Paul Coleman Trio is us 3 guys, Paul, Phil, Gordian, and myself. We wanted to use music to show the worth of God, but we weren't really asking people to sing along. But then with Sonic Flood, we were a bunch of guys who wanted to show the worth of God, but we projected the words of the songs on the screens, and most of those were prayers to God or praises of God, and we did want the congregation to sing. But in a sense, both bands were trying to show the worth of God or worship God. And, you know, we use the word worship in 2025 in ways that are like, you know, worship band, worship leader, worship song, worship service, worship experience, worship Spotify playlist, that might make it sound to people that worship is especially linked to music in a church gathering. But that's actually not my understanding. Romans 12:1 tells us to offer ourselves as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God. Every moment of every day is a chance to worship God. However, music is an important expression of worship, and I guess that's what is at the heart of More Than Music Mentor. I'm trying to find a way of helping those of us who are followers of Jesus to understand this whole life response of worship, yet elevate the importance of the music when we gather and the value of having our congregations singing together, singing prayers to God, praises of God, declarations of truth about God together. This is an important and valuable and potentially transformative expression of worship for us to be involved with.
If I can hear your heartbeat here, when you've got your praise and worship leader and musicians, they're on stage, might even be a large church, could be a small church, you're looking to really, in some sense, minimize the performance aspect of what you do as a praise and worship leader and maximize the congregational worship leading side of things. Have I got that right?
Well, very, very close. Let me try and explain it this way, Neil. Like, I think a concert performance can be worshipful. It can point people to the value of God, of Jesus as the Christ. But generally speaking, at a church service, I'm going to say, we would want to have the congregation singing together as an expression of worship rather than being distracted by a performer. And I see biblical support for the second of those situations and not so much for the first. So I guess I want to say to musicians, singers, instrumentalists, and the technicians that support them in local churches, whether they be small or large or medium-sized, no matter what their flavour or style or denomination or theological emphasis, let's remind ourselves that we are here to encourage our congregation to sing the songs. And a more concert-like style of musical presentation might actually make it harder for people to sing together. It depends on your context, but I tell you what, if you are in front of 15,000 people, you can get them singing. Queen do it, We Will Rock You. You can get people singing. But if you're 150 people in a little suburban church somewhere, or even if you're 500, you better be a bit more campfire and less concert if you really want to get those people singing. It's more authentic, I think, and more engaging even to say, hey, we're a bunch of people. We're not professional standard. We're not trying to pretend we're playing at some big stadium concert performance. We just want to all be gathered together and sing these prayers to God together. And that's actually more easily achieved with less concert-like choices. But I leave it to the teams I'm coaching to decide for themselves. But I do ask them to recognise that the goal we should be shooting for is that every man, woman and child in our room wants to sing these prayers to God together and focus on Him.
What I can hear you saying here is that there's a redefinition that's necessary for certainly the praise and worship leader, but I guess it's going to be for every musician who takes the stage and is part of what you might call a production, but it's really working together and a redefinition, which is a humility that aligns with Romans chapter 12, verse 1, making your body a living sacrifice. Are we in there? How hard is that to do? Because you've got musicians, no doubt, at maturity levels, all sorts of different levels, some very mature and some just coming in. I guess it's a process.
It is a process, and this is why I love to come to regions like I'm in Queensland right now. And just last Friday evening, we did what I call a core content training session. And I've got another one coming up in Brisbane and then in Bundaberg and also Buderim before I leave Queensland early August. But these sessions walk people through this thought of, okay, what does it mean to worship God? Okay, so music within our church gatherings is one of the ways we worship. It's not the be-all and end-all of worship. And the humanly observable goal we're looking for is that every man, woman and child in the room is singing the songs together. And I present, I think, a pretty compelling case to make people get to the end of that and go, now I get it. And one of the most encouraging things I hear, actually, Neil, is not, I've never heard this before, this is radical. I hear, I've always sort of thought this already, but I haven't really had words for it. And you've helped me understand this way better. We can perform music, sure, but we, generally speaking, on a Sunday morning in our church service, want to get the people singing. And that's actually quite a different outcome from enthralling an audience. So let's make different vocal, instrumental and technical choices to better bring that about. So I don't have people pushing back against that. It seems to resonate with a deeper truth within each of us.
Sounds like if you're leading a church and you've got a praise and worship leader and a music team, you'd want to get them into a session like that where you can talk about a heart before God. The sort of people who are attending some of these sessions, and you said you've done some of these from Melbourne and heading up the coast through New South Wales, you're into Queensland now. What sort of people are coming along to these sessions you're doing?
And that's the beauty of it. It's a wonderful wide range, In fact, just last Friday night in Toowoomba when I was giving the session, I tried to explain this diversity of people that I'm speaking to, and I spoke about, an example 15-year-old bass player or a 74-year-old piano player who was serving local churches. And this young fella came up to me after the session. He said, I'm the 15-year-old bass player. We've got all different ages, different musical preferences, different denominations, serving churches of different sizes. That's the beauty of this. What I'm doing with More Than Music Mentor. It's for all of us. In fact, I claim it, this is training for the heart and the art of worshipping singers, instrumentalists and technicians, and those who lead them for all denominations, musical styles, ages, experience levels, and theological emphases. And I'm presenting something that I believe will improve musicality, increase participation, instill unity. Get everyone on the same page, from the senior pastor right down to the 15-year-old bass player, and inspire heartfelt Romans 12:1 worship. That's the goal.
Well, Grant, I know that listeners will be able to hear the way you articulate these things, but it's not just based in theory. You've been on the stage and people have given you that sort of adulation as a pop star, Christian worship and performance leader. For listeners who want to be a part of the event like this, Grant is in Queensland over the coming weeks. And he's leading some combined church core content training sessions. There's one coming up this Saturday afternoon. That's the 26th of July in North Brisbane at the Prince of Peace College Senior Campus in Everton Hills in Brisbane. Then he's going to be leading one of these sessions on the 29th of July in Bundaberg and on the 2nd of August in Buderim. To be able to connect with Grant and be a part of these sessions, you can certainly find the morethanmusicmentor.com website and connect there. There'll be the details that you might be seeking for wherever you'd like to be able to connect. And also at grantnorsworthy.com. That's morethanmusicmentor.com and grantnorsworthy.com. Grant, let's talk again another day. I love your heart on worship, but appreciate you and all the best for your time as you're leading those sessions in Queensland.
Thank you very much, Neil. Great to talk to you.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.